Hi, I'm Adrian and I'm a designer.
And my name is Serene and I'm a developer. And today we're going to talk about the hottest new technology of 1996. Bots.
Before we get into bots, let's have a drink.
Let's do that.
A traditional French lemonade called Elixir.
Let's check. Elixir limonade artisanale. Oui, très bien.
Très bien.
What flavor do we have?
It's supposedly pine flavored or fir flavored?
Yeah, it tastes
Like
sap.
like drinking woodlands.
Yeah. Like chewing on a bit of wood. Fresh from the wood. Let's put it out of screen. Two woody flavors.
Woody words. It's not worse than what was your topped? The birch water.
It only smells very much like pine sap, but it's actually not that bad.
Oh, you're gonna say not that bad. I was gonna say this tastes like drinking the water that you put on the coals in a sauna.
Pretty much. Okay, let's go to the subject at hand.
Yeah. So the hottest new technology of 1996. We said 1996 because that's when we used the IRC bots.
IRC bots, yeah. But
The
somehow it's become a hot topic again.
Well, I'm a bit curious why, because bots, as I remember them, were dumb.
It was kind of painful. You give them a command, and you have to give the exact command.
Yeah, you have to word it exactly right, otherwise it wouldn't work. And
yeah, and especially since the bots have been around like the 1960s, they had this ELIZA project, and yeah, it was basically a bot that would respond to textual input.
So basically, in 50 years, we haven't come much further than that. And
that's not completely true. There are a lot of advantages in natural language processing, etc., etc.
So less specific inputs.
Yeah, a lot of people probably think when we say bot, they think about artificial intelligence, but most bots are not artificial intelligent. They're just
they're as intelligent as the person who made them.
Yeah, but they're still just a bunch of if-then-else statements. And there is, of course, a lot done in the natural language processing. That means that it tries to understand what you're saying, and so the if statement is not if it says exactly this string, and that's what the IRC bots used to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's little bit more.
So it's a bit flexible
in what it accepts. In what it accepts. But still, if user asks X, I'm going to answer Y, or answer with question.
Yeah. So you have a pre-programmed response to any query that the user makes.
Yeah, and you can build in some randomness in there, but basically it's still
it can't interpret things, so it can't make leaps between different topics, for instance, or
not that easy, unless it's programmed in to work that way.
Yeah, but again, that means that it always does that, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's basically not an AI bot.
No, and if they're AI bots, they're probably Nazi bots.
Nazi bots. Microsoft? How did that happen? I mean, did it just... This is a learning failure, right?
Yes, and that's why people just kept throwing racist things at it, and it learned from that, and in turn became racist itself. So
that's really dubious, and not. I mean, that's not good news for us. I mean, if the robots ever take over and they learn their racist stuff from Twitter, we're talking about Microsoft Taj project, which was shut down after, I think, it was less than 2 days or something, because it turned incredibly racist.
But that's
it was still an interesting experiment because they did show that it can actually learn things.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah.
And I mean, the responses were, they were not very intelligent or eloquent, but they were legible, and they did vary quite a lot.
They did, and that's actually something I read on Twitter some time ago. Is that someone said, if you are wondering if something is some product, some bot is AI, that you just have to look at the hiring page of a startup and look how many low-paid bot trainer jobs they have there.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, but the subject is actually a bit broader than just bots, because for a bot to work, you have to have some kind of interface to interact with that bot, and that's the big thing, is the conversational interface.
Yeah, that's basically what the bots do that we are currently hearing about in news and press conferences and that kind of thing. So, I mean, even our friend Adrian Zumbrunnen, he made his website conversational, and his reason for that was, why not?
So, because you can.
Yeah, because you can. I mean, it's an interesting project.
Yeah, but so we're talking about conversational interfaces, and that actually our conversational interface with intelligence challenge response system, and I specifically call them challenge response because it's always user asks something. There are no bots that will just say, "Oh, you're thinking about," or "You're feeling down," but
you want some coffee.
Yeah, you want some coffee. That will be kind of freakishly. Yeah, of course you get these text message bots that will just randomly throw out.
But it's not based on
spam. That's not based on actual events. I mean, you're not going to stand near the curb and say, "Okay, you need some help crossing the street here."
No. So the user needs to initiate.
Yeah,
the user needs to say, "Hey, I want something."
Yeah, but still, these are challenge responsive, and that basically just means they are just some more modern wizards. And we had like wizards in the 90s in Windows. 95, you had this wizard where you could click through and achieve something.
Yeah, so that's basically a visual if-then-else statement.
With some more complex questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's less rigid in what kind of inputs you give. Yeah.
I'm not surprised that there is a revival in bot, because especially for e-commerce, I think there are really big use cases, and it's going to be really huge in there. You see, a lot of it actually originated the rise of the bots. Oh, this is going to be
the bots revival.
The rise of the bots is going to be a great movie title.
Oh man, that's going to be a blockbuster movie somewhere.
Yeah, but it's actually originated in China with WeChat, especially on the WeChat platform. It's not that complex. It's just, okay, you send a message somewhere and you get options back, and you can say, well, I want option 1, 2, 3. But what they did is, the intelligent bit is that, well, it's not intelligence, but the great thing they did is that it's all incorporated in the WeChat platform. So you can say, I want a pizza, or I want a pizza from place X, and then you can, or you do your ordering, and you can do your payment. You just stay right in the WeChat app, and you don't have to install an extra app for that pizza place. You don't have to go online and do some other weird thing.
You don't have to share your payment details with dodgy pizza places.
Exactly. So it's all handled in the platform.
Yeah. And that's actually the same model that Facebook has announced. I mean, it's still in beta phase now for their Messenger app. So they integrating this type of bots where you can ask it something and it'll give you suggestions, and then follow up on that and give you again suggestions. So you still have to tap through it, basically, but it's the same system as WeChat is using.
Yeah, but let's go back to the e-commerce. I mean, the first step is going to be, I want to buy brown shoes, and you're going to ask someone, okay, this is basically a bit of a more intelligent kind of search, and it will tell you, okay, these are brown shoes, and it will ask you, okay, which kind of shoes do you mean, or what do you need?
What size?
What size? Do you want sneakers? Do you want dress shoes? Something like that. And then the next step is going to be, okay, you're going to this shop and you ask, okay, I want to have brown shoes, and that's going to ask you, okay, but what are you going to wear with it? Or even further, you're going to say, I'm going to this party tonight and I'm going to wear a blue suit and I want to have matching shoes.
Yeah, and then it will give you automatic suggestions based on that information.
And that means it has to understand what you actually want and what you want to achieve, and that's.
But that is the tricky bit, because that means that your bot has to interpret a lot of stuff.
Exactly, and that's where the AI is going to come in.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're
there quite there yet. No. But this would also mean that you could hand off this kind of task to your bot. It could be more like a personal assistant sort of thing.
In the end, yes.
So you could make it order stuff for you without you. Actually, this is probably Amazon's wet dream, that you could make bots that just order stuff that people need anyway. I mean, that's their Dash platform is sort of a step in that direction to streamline the ordering thing. And maybe the refrigerator that orders your food for you, that's not that far off. Look at this.
Oh my.
Again, we're sort of crossing into
what's going to be the possible future. Yes.
Because for now, like you said, it's still challenge response kind of deal, and you still as a user have to make choices between options that the bot gives you.
Yeah, instead of that, the bot says, "Okay, this is what you need."
It's like, okay, this is what you ask for.
Is this correct?
Is this the right one? Is this the right one? Is this the right one?
And it can, of course, learn from your preferences. Like when you always choose, you never buy sandals, for instance, and then it's not going to show you sandal options in the end. After a couple of buys.
It always shows you, or you always buy a certain brand, for instance, that it will also prioritize that brand over other ones. Yeah. So there is some simple learning in there, I guess.
I would not consider it simple, but it's rudimentary from a human.
It sounds simple to a layman.
No, it is rudimentary in form of and as a form of communication.
Yeah. So how hard could it be?
Yeah, and it is because there are quite some achievements in natural language processing, as we said before, but still there is. It's sometimes quite hard to talk to a bot.
I think we are going to have to learn how to speak to bots, because there's actually a Medium article where a few guys pretended to be a bot for 2 months just to find out what people say to bots and how do they talk to bots. And they had some interesting learnings, namely that people have a tendency, for instance, to clump together different requests. So they have a sentence that has 4 requests in it. Like how are you going to how is a bot going to look at that and interpret that, for instance,
and come up with the right answer to that?
Exactly. And they also did a very interesting analysis on how many variations there are of the same request. Like how many ways can you write the same request? And if the sample size is large enough, if enough people are actually using this bot, this could be huge. There could be hundreds of different variations of asking technically the same question. And how will bots interpret that? How will they react to that? And I mean, even more complex than that is emotional language. How are bots what are they going to do with that?
So if I write $ shoe football, it should understand I want to.
You need soccer shoes?
I need soccer shoes.
So that would be basically emoji ordering.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually another interesting thing. How would that work? Could that work?
Probably.
I mean, could you write your bot in, for instance, the Facebook Messenger thing? You could just use the pizza emoticon, and it will just order.
It will understand. Okay, you like this kind of pizza, and okay, it's this late, so you probably want this kind of pizza.
Yeah. You have also ordered beer before, so you probably need a few. Or I don't know. I mean, how would that work? And that's really interesting.
It is, but currently, I think the solution to this problem is to make very specific bots and give them a very narrow scope.
Yeah. So you basically you narrow it down to a specific function thing that you want them to do, and you give it depth in that area. So it's great at this one thing. It's great at ordering shoes, but if you order it or you ask it to order pizza, then you might get very cheesy shoes.
Yeah, and that's exactly for instance, it does the weather, and that's what it's good at. But other than that, it might give some snappy responses, but that's about it.
That's actually an interesting point, because Facebook also made a bot for the weather.
And Facebook Poncho.
Yeah, and I'm totally not seeing what that is for. Like, why? I mean, I get that they want to keep people in their app, in their interface and stuff, but the weather apps that I use are far more detailed than whatever Poncho can come up with, and I don't have to ask them. It's one tap for me.
Yeah,
if I have to write, what's the weather like today? I mean, that's, I don't know how many letters that is, but it's quite a few more than just one tap.
You just open your app and it knows where you are, and it shows you the weather and the forecast and etc. etc. etc.
Exactly.
And instead of having to say, okay, there's weather today, what's the forecast going to be? There's a lot of letters to type in, and you have to do that. So that's basically command line UI, and it's extremely powerful. I mean, as a developer, I use the command line a lot. Yeah, when I can use the command line, I will use the command line.
Because fond of visual interfaces.
No, I am fond of visual interface, but sometimes it's just because when I know the commands, I can do far more powerful and stuff than when I have to use to click through something.
Yeah. That said, command line UIs is mostly useful for things that are repetitive. So you use the same command over and over. It has a distinct advantage over visual UIs in this area. I don't know how that relates to bots, because how often are you going to ask your bot the same thing, except when it's a weather bot and you ask it the same weather over and over.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, if I'm the fridge and the milk is out, it's probably going to ask you the same question. You're probably going to ask you the same way. I need to buy milk, and then the milk is out. You're going to ask it again. I need to buy milk. Go buy me some milk.
Yeah. Okay. But again, that would be very limited if you have a fridge with only milk in it. That would be useful. But I mean, there's going to be a ton of potential things that could be missing from your fridge at some point. So I don't know how useful it will be in this area. And again, I'm not sure if. I mean, I kind of like the idea of conversational UIs where you can actually talk to something and tell it, do this for me, or give me suggestions for something. But again, it is quite a lot of work.
Yeah, okay, but that's where interfaces like Siri or Amazon Echo come in. It's where you actually have natural spoken language that's going to be interpreted, and
which I use a lot actually. Siri, for instance, setting alarms, setting timers, adding stuff to calendars, writing messages, that kind of stuff is great for that.
But it's really, like we said, it's really specific to a certain domain.
Very narrow.
It's very narrow. So.
And it has to, it doesn't have, there are no follow-ups to this. So it's
no, you can and it's not like, okay, we're going to book me a table at X after an hour after my last meeting together with A, B, and C, and it will automatically send invites and make sure it all happens and get back to you with, okay, there is no table free at that time. Would you like a table a half an hour later, or this is an alternative restaurant with the same ratings? Would you want to go there?
Well, there is some of that very mildly. For instance, in the US, you can ask for movie tickets with Fandango. It can book you a movie ticket, but that's basically it. I want to see a movie tonight, and then it gives you suggestions near you, and then you just basically the same style of interface that WeChat and Facebook Messenger use. It gives you options, and you select one, and then it sort of wizards you through it. But yeah, this is actually a very interesting thought, because when we were talking about this topic earlier, you said, how useful would your phone actually be if it had no screen and just Siri?
Yeah, and that's...
At this point,
not very much.
No.
But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to come in the coming 2 to 5 years.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, we're it's very early on with this kind of thing, and you can see that there is demand for this. It is popular. I mean, Amazon Echo, I don't personally own one, but people tend to love that thing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, sorry, I keep cutting you off. On the other hand, Amazon Echo, in my opinion, doesn't do much that your phone can't do. Like it's hail an Uber, start playing a playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
It's fairly mundane in what it can do. It's not that much of an assistant unless you want to buy stuff. Then it's good.
But that's their core business.
It is their core business. Yeah.
Okay.
So that wraps up. I think we need to revisit this at some point.
In 2 to 5 years.
2 to 5 years. Okay. We'll have beards by then. So let's all just wait 2 to 5 years. No, seriously. We'd like to thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'd like to thank our sponsors, DigiPaint and Asphalt Photo. And we'll see you in the next one.